I'm Jessica Stewart from Izzy and Ivy Designs, and today I'm here to talk about fabric placement and the importance of realizing that when you're sewing for children's garments. Now, I love a good floral as much as the next person, but sometimes a floral that you choose for a women's skirt, it might look great on that, but when you scale it for a children's garment, it may not work the same. So I'm going to tell you how to figure out the best way to place your fabric and something that will help you get the most interest for the fabric that you're going to use. So I like to choose something fun, something bright and with lots of color. This print, the flowers are kind of a medium scale, but you definitely want to pay attention to what part of the dress or garment that you put it on. So for me, I would use this as a skirt or maybe a pair of pants, but something that has a big area to cover so that you can fit all of those pretty flowers in there. Then next I would go to a smaller section of the garment, maybe a bodice or a sleeve, and I would pick just the next smallest feature of the fabric that I want to use. Then the smallest scale fabric that I would choose, this would be for something like a sash or a hemband or maybe just a small detail on the front or a pocket. The smaller the print, the smaller the piece on the garment. That's kind of my rule of thumb. Obviously you can break from that if you find something that really pops and something that you just want to feature, but that's kind of how I do this. These are all kind of monochromatic colors, but you can always add another fabric in there to kind of get that unique boutique look, very eclectic and something that's kind of in these days. Another thing that I like to do is take my fabric, and if I have a flower or some part of the fabric that I really like, you can tell I like flowers, I'm using lots of flowers today, I will put it front and center in a very important part. On a dress, on these girls' dresses, the bodice is very important. So I've taken my fabric, when I've cut the pattern piece out, I cut it on the fold, and I've put that flower right in the middle, so it kind of screams for you to look at it. And here are some other examples with other fabrics. This is a size 6, so you can get away with using a larger rose or flower in the front, in the middle, but if you're sewing for a smaller child, like this is a size 2, for example, you have to scale it down a little bit and you have to pick a different favorite one. So, or you can just use an even smaller print, that works too. Another way to kind of make the bodice front and center and feature your favorite fabric is to make just a special little place of fabric and trim and combine it. This really takes your garment from being homemade to handmade, and it's that thing that people ask, where did you get this? And then you can tell them that you made it yourself. On this one, I've just used a smaller print of the fabric and sewn some crochet edge bias tape on the edges and top stitched that. I've done the same technique on this, and I'm getting ready to show you how to do that, so stick around for that. Used it on a skirt as well. And on this one, I've just added some crocheted lace that really brings out this pink, one of my daughter's favorite colors, and on the sleeves, and it's really just adds some interest to your fabric and makes it really interesting. So let's show you how to take that fabric and make it into something really special. I'm going to come over here, and I have taken this bias tape and I have flattened it out so that it's not on the fold anymore, it just has one fold. And this piece right here is the same as my bodice, a little bit longer, that's okay, you can trim it later. But this here is 2 inches wide, and I don't want to make it a whole lot bigger than that. So using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to just sew this right on. And you can pin if you'd like, but I'm going to live dangerously here and just sew down. It makes it pretty quick when it's a short piece like this. trim those pesky threads. And then I'm going to come over here and press it. And I'm pressing the seam allowance to the inside. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. One of the things I really love about this is that I don't crochet, and I don't have time to do all these extra little things. So this makes it really easy to add some interest without me having to do everything from scratch. You can also use small pieces of fabric that are in your scrap stash, because let's face it, we all have scraps, and sometimes we don't know what to do with them. So trim that, and we'll press it out. Same thing, seam allowance goes to the inside. And now we're ready to attach it to the bodice. What I've done here is when I placed it on the fold, I found the center and I just lightly pressed the fold into that, so that now I have a really good gauge for how I want to find the center of my bodice, because let's face it, if you've gone through all this work to make this extra cute thing, you do not want it to be crooked. So you just kind of line it up. If you want to get exact, you could use your grid from your cutting mat to kind of line things up. But it's pretty small, so I feel like I've got a good center line here. And pin, I definitely pin this. If you don't pin anything else, pin this, because you don't want it moving around on you when you top stitch it. So you just kind of stitch in the ditch. And that will secure this little extra trim to your bodice. More threads to trim. And here is your finished product. Now what all you have to do now is take your skirt and gather it and attach it to your bodice. So I'm going to show you some tricks on how to make that simple. So we've already found the center of our bodice from before, and I'm going to mark that with a pin. And this particular dress makes this kind of easy, because I've got side seams here as a marking point, and then also it has an open back, so that leaves a really good place for me to know where the center of the back is. Kind of a no-brainer. So I'm going to do the same thing on my skirt. I'm going to find the center of my skirt, which is right here. I've pinned that already. And then the side seams are an easy marker, and this one also has a little bit of an opening, so you can get it on and off the body pretty easily. So I just line those up, and I've got my gathering stitch already ready. So I pull those. I like to use 2 stitches, 2 gathering stitch rows, so that it makes a nice, pretty gather. Before I get too far with that, turn the skirt inside out. This is the front of the skirt. And place the bodice in upside down, and then you just match up your pins. It really is so easy to do this. I also like to match up side seams. Once you've got those all matched up, you can start gathering. And to me, I like to gather slow, maybe turn on some Netflix, There are faster ways of doing this, but I like to take my time and make sure that the gathers are spread out evenly. And then you match up the bottoms or match up the edges on the back. And once you have all of that finished, you can take it and sew it and finish the seam how you would like. I like to use a serger. And then you're ready to, last minute touch is good with buttons. I love those. I like to add those at the end. And you have a perfect dress for any occasion, for a birthday present. And I hope that this helps you choose your fabrics when you're sewing garments for children.